you think about the future, you want a future that's better than the past.
We should take a moment to appreciate these little things, the big things, the things that move your heart. I think that's probably the meaning of life, or as close a definition as I can think.
First of all, my goal is not disruption for the sake of disruption. I really think there's some important things we have to solve in order for the future to be good.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 for my top 10, top 10, 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Elon Musk, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Pay attention to details.
You want to make something beautiful. I mean, you want to trigger whatever fundamental aesthetic algorithms, or like in your brain, you have, I think, some intrinsic elements that represent beauty, and that trigger the emotion of appreciation of beauty in your mind. And I think that these are actually relatively consistent among people. I mean, not completely. Some people not everyone likes the same thing, but there's a lot of commonality. But I think it is important to combine aesthetic design with functionality. Like the thing that's, like if you say, like, what was really hard about, say, the Model S or the Model X, was to combine aesthetics and utility. So to balance the two. You can make a car look very good by giving it sort of certain proportions, like making it sort of low and slim, but if you do that, the utility is significantly affected. To make a sports car look good is relatively easy, but to make a sedan look good or an SUV look good is quite difficult. Really pay attention to the little details, the nuances of design and shape and form and function, and just the way it looks in different lights. And
When something's off, the little thing, how do you experience that?
it drives me bananas. Yeah. I mean, the problem is, like, if you can train yourself to pay attention to the tiny details. I think almost anyone can. Although this is a very much double-edged sword, because then you see all the little details, and then little things drive you crazy. But like most people they don't consciously see the small details, but they do subconsciously see them. Like you sort of, your mind takes in a gestalt of the overall, an overall impression, and you know if something is appealing or not, even though you may not be able to point out exactly why. And it's a summation of these many small details.
So most of us experience it as oh, I think that's ugly, or I think that's beautiful, or like, wow, that's elegant, but can't break it down. You mentioned something in passing, like you can train yourself in this, though?
Yeah, you can train yourself, I think. You can make yourself pay attention to why. You essentially bring the subconscious awareness into conscious awareness.
God, I wish I could do that. How do you do that?
just pay really close attention.
Almost like a meditation on the object, and trying to find the details, like, why do I not like this? Is that what?
Yeah, just look closely and carefully.
Rule number 2, have the right framework.
The physics training is a very good training, where it's a good framework for reasoning, where you're trained to think about first principles and reason from there. And that means boiling things down to the most fundamental truths, and then connecting those truths in a way to try to understand how reality is. Because physics has this problem where they're trying to figure out things that are totally counterintuitive. And so they had to have a framework for getting there. Like quantum mechanics is incredibly counterintuitive, but it's true. And so so physics developed a framework for figuring out things that aren't obvious. And that's why I think it's a lot of advice, but it's the right framework.
Rule number 3, create something exciting.
If you think about the future, you want a future that's better than the past. Yeah. And so if we had something like the Hyperloop, I think that would be like cool. Like you'd look forward to the day that was working. Yeah. You know, and if something like that, even if it only was in one place, you know, from LA to San Francisco or New York to DC or something like that, then it would be cool enough that it would be like a tourist attraction. It would be like a ride or something. You know? So even if some of the initial assumptions didn't work out and the economics didn't work out quite as one expected, it would be like cool enough to be like, I want to journey that place just to ride on that thing. That would be pretty cool. Wow. And so that's, I think, how, if you come up with a new technology, it should feel like that. You should really, like, if you told it to an objective person, would they look forward to the day that thing became available? And be like, you know, it'd be pretty exciting to do something like that. Or an aircraft. Like, I thought it was really disappointing when the Concorde was taken out of commission and there was no supersonic transport available. And of course, the 787 has had some issues. But the thing is, the 787, even in the best case scenario, is only a slightly better version of the 777. And it's like, okay, you know, not that exciting.
Rule number 4, appreciate the little things.
I was just saying that you know, you want to take a moment to appreciate things in life and the sensations. Food's incredible. And like, there's just so many good things that you can experience. Some of them cost nothing, really. You know, have a walk in nature or just a nice meal, and it's like, wow, that's pretty great, you know. And we should take a moment to appreciate these little things, the big things, the things that move your heart. I think that's probably the meaning of life, as close a definition as I can think.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, self-love, self-belief, check out my 254 series. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So I've designed a special free program to help you get it, where I will send you an unlisted video to your email for the next 254 days to shift your self-belief forward. The link to sign up for free is in the description below.
There are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough, that you do it in spite of the fear. If you have a great product, lots of people will buy it. And then the company will be successful. That ended up being worse than if we had designed a car from the beginning.
Rule number 5, think critically.
You know, just in general, critical thinking is good. You know, examining whether you have the correct axioms, are the most applicable axioms, does the logic necessarily connect, and then what are the range of probable outcomes? Outcomes are usually not deterministic. They're a range. And so you want to figure out what those probabilities are and make sure, ideally, that you're the house. You know, it's fine to gamble so long as you're the house.
Rule number 6, make something useful.
I don't think everyone needs to go, you know, try to solve like some big world-changing problem. I mean, I think that, like, I really think, like, we should just think, like, are we doing something that's useful to the world? Like, if you're doing something useful, that's great. I just think that like just sort of a usefulness optimization is like, that's like a really good thing. You know, if you've done something that's useful to your fellow human beings, you've done a really good thing, and people should feel proud of doing that. You know, it doesn't always have to be something that's going to change the world. I mean, sometimes the world should just keep going in a particular direction.
Help the world.
Yeah, it might be going in the right direction. And I mean, in a lot of ways, the world is, and we are in great shape. In that, if you look at, say, violent crimes, you know, per capita in the world, it's at an like all-time low. We're actually quite prosperous, and you know, compared to history, you know, I think there's a lot of things to feel good about in terms of how the world is today. Access to information is incredible. I mean, anyone with like a $100 device has access to basically all the world's information, which is an incredible thing. So I honestly, I just think like the best thing for people to try to do is say like, hey, what is something that I can do that would really be useful to the world, and just do that, and it's great.
Rule number 7, disrupt with purpose.
First of all, my goal is not disruption for the sake of disruption. I really think there's some important things we have to solve in order for the future to be good. I would say like my sort of algorithm or optimization is like, okay, what set of things do we need to do to ensure that increase the probability that the future is going to be good? And so if we have to solve sustainable energy, this is tautological. If we do not solve sustainable energy, then we have unsustainable energy. Then it's just a matter of time before before civilization collapses. We must, but even if there was not an environmental issue, since the availability of oil is limited, this is not something we can sustain long term. My original interest in electric vehicles was actually not environmental. It was out of concern, just studying physics, and I'm like, wait a second, we need to transition to solar electric, or we're going to have a problem, and we run out of oil, civilization collapses. That's a problem. Now, of course, the environmental concerns have added to the urgency, because the more CO2 we put in the oceans and atmosphere, the more we increase the probability that something will go wrong. Like I said, like things are much more probability as opposed to certainty. But I think it's an unwise experiment to dramatically increase the CO2 in the atmosphere and oceans. Given that we know we need to transition anyway because we'll run out of oil. So why run that experiment? It's not. It doesn't make any sense. We know we have to transition to a sustainable energy economy. Then let's just get on with it. Let's just get on with it and not run the crazy experiment and see what happens if the atmosphere has 2,000 ppm. CO2. This is crazy.
Rule number 8, think long term.
I wanted to spur ideas and thinking about the long-term need to capture carbon. I think this is one of those things that's going to take a while to figure out what the right solution is. And especially to figure out what the best economics are for CO2 removal. And all think through all the consequences. You don't want the cure to be worse than the disease. Sometimes people say, "Well, just plant a bunch of trees." I'm like, that's not so easy. Like
a trillion trees.
Sure, exactly. And then you got to like, okay, well, you need to get fertilizer. You're going to water them. Where's the water going to come from? What habitat are you potentially destroying where the trees used to be? It's not just it's a no-brainer of just go plant a bunch of trees.
But it's not to say that's not a good viable option.
We should plant some trees. I'm in favor of planting trees. It's just not a question of like, okay, there are like vast sections of like the Sahara Desert or some large barren areas, very dry areas in the U.S. Where you could in theory plant a lot of trees, but you're going to need a lot of water. And you're going to need you're going to have to cultivate them. It's not like they don't just throw some seeds on the ground.
We'll drop them from orbit.
And I mean, so just I think it'd be good to sort of kind of frame the debate and understand, okay, what things are really going to move the needle? How much are they going to move the needle? If we're talking about getting tens or hundreds of billions of tons of carbon, in what form will that carbon be? Will it be stable over time? And like I said, what is it going to cost humanity to do? However it's paid for, what is it going to cost? What's the thing that's going to be most affordable?
Rule number 9, display exceptional ability.
Look for evidence of exceptional ability. So it's not, or at least aspirationally, like sometimes these things get messed up in recruiting, or the recruiting filter ends up being wrong. Like I sometimes wonder with Tesla, if Nikola Tesla applied to Tesla, would we even give him an interview? It's not clear. This guy came from like some weird college somewhere in Eastern Europe. He's got some odd mannerisms. Now we don't know if we should give him an interview. Like I worry that that's actually what we do instead of like, it should be like, man, Nikola Tesla, this kid's super smart. What does he want? We'll pay him anything. That should be the reaction if Nikola Tesla applies. to Tesla, ironically. But I can tell you the intent is we're looking for evidence of exceptional ability, and it really doesn't matter if you went to graduate high school or college or anything. We're just looking for evidence of exceptional ability, such that it would be a good predictor for doing exceptional things at SpaceX.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
I do think that it would be kind of fun to do a cover of Barbie Girl by Aqua. You know that song?
Barbie Girl?
Barbie Girl, yeah.
Viagra?
I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie world.
I'm out of plastic. It's fantastic.
You know it.
Break my heart, everywhere.
Yes.
Imagination. It's
Okay,
my imagination.
so you know the lyrics.
Yeah, I know the lyrics. Did you write it?
No.
Okay.
But I think it would be fun to do a cover of Barbie Girl, but Cyber Girl.
I'm a cyber girl.
Yeah, in a cyber world.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to invent a new
It's fantastic.
melody.
In the future, there's no plastic, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what is your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of actually doing something and following through. That, Believe Nation, is not enough. 35% is not enough. We gotta do something. But when you get inspired by watching a video like this, and then you create a plan of action, your chances of following through jump to 91%. And when you commit publicly, like putting your comment down below with your plan, it jumps to 95%. That's what I want for you. I want you to take action. Your dreams are too important. Your life matters. Your mission has to happen. So, question of the day, your biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week, put it down in the comments below, and I'm gonna celebrate alongside with you.
Fully considered cost actually just means that if there are, you want to look at both the benefits and the cost actually. So if in sequestering carbon or removing it from the atmosphere or oceans has some, perhaps some environmental impact, which might be small, but it's not negative, that certainly needs to be taken into account. And then by the same token, if what's done is in extracting carbon is a useful product from which you can generate revenue, then that should count too.
All right.
So I don't know, I'm just sort of saying for argument's sake, like let's say you could create, construction material, like
Cement.
Cement.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we
Cement,
I'll talk about that
cement
later.
or some kind of useful rocks that are useful, or sand, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Something that's useful for construction. Then you could say, okay, well, this is what we could sell it for, and and then just fully consider pros and cons, and say, okay, this is what, if we need to pay to have it done in the future, which we probably will have to do, then what's the lowest net cost?
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Elon Musk, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe. I'll see you there.
Innovation comes from questioning the way things have been done before.
Yeah.
And if in the education system you're taught not to do that, that will inhibit entrepreneurship.